The controversies surrounding Meghan Markle have become an unending narrative in royal circles, often stirring intense debates on her decisions, motivations, and the subsequent fallout from her actions. Once heralded as a breath of fresh air for the monarchy, the Duchess of Sussex now finds herself at the center of sharp criticism, not only from the public but from key royal commentators. Tina Brown, a seasoned royal biographer and former editor of Vanity Fair, recently reignited this discourse by openly criticizing Meghan's judgment in her appearance on the Anchor podcast. Joined by royal expert Richard Fitzwilliams, Brown didn't mince her words, labeling Meghan as having the worst judgment of anyone in the public eye. With a career that brought her close to royal life and an intimate understanding of its inner workings, Brown's perspective carries weight. But what exactly led her to this conclusion? Is Meghan's judgment truly as flawed as Brown suggests? Or is it a more complex narrative fueled by the harsh glare of public scrutiny? This video explores Brown's comments, Meghan's tumultuous relationship with the monarchy, and the growing consensus that her decisions may indeed be far from sound. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Tina Brown's candid critique. Flawless about getting it all wrong. Tina Brown, who has enjoyed unprecedented access to royal figures during her tenure as editor of Vanity Fair, shared her blunt take on Meghan Markle's judgment during a podcast with the Anchor CEO, Janice Minute. Known for her authoritative voice on all things royal, Brown's assessment of Meghan was harsh. She's flawless about getting it all wrong, Brown quipped, underscoring what she views as a consistent pattern of poor decisions. This isn't the first time Brown has critiqued Meghan and Harry's departure from royal duties. In her book The Palace Papers, Inside the House of Windsor, The Truth and the Turmoil, Brown describes the Sussexes' exit from royal life as a disaster all round. Brown's comments, however, go beyond the commonly discussed pitfalls of the couple's media ventures, accusing Meghan of having a fundamental misreading of her public role and impact. Perhaps the most stinging part of Brown's critique is her dismissal of Meghan's ideas as total crap. For a woman who had once been heralded as a modernizer within the royal family, such a blunt judgment from a well-respected figure is telling. The claim that Meghan's judgment has been consistently poor aligns with the view that her royal exit, media projects, and public statements have all backfired, leading to a tarnished reputation both in the UK and beyond. Richard Fitzwilliams, a royal expert, weighs in. Adding to Brown's perspective, royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams supported her claims in a recent interview with Mail Online. Fitzwilliams emphasized that Brown's deep understanding of the royal family lends credibility to her remarks. He agreed that Meghan's judgment has been, in many ways, terrible, highlighting her decisions surrounding the couple's royal exit and the ill-fated Netflix documentary as prime examples. Fitzwilliams referenced the now infamous documentary Harry and Meghan on Netflix, which was meant to offer insight into their post-royal life but instead became a flashpoint of controversy. Critics have argued that the couple used the series as a platform to criticize the royal family rather than promoting their charitable endeavors. They deserted these patronages, Fitzwilliams said, referring to their roles in the Queen's Commonwealth Trust. Instead of honoring their commitments, he argues, the Sussexes chose to focus on personal grievances. The documentary, along with other public appearances, has done little to bolster the couple's standing, with Fitzwilliams noting that the pair's ventures have had minimal impact beyond sparking tabloid headlines. Despite signing deals with Netflix and Spotify, these ventures have not yielded the results that many expected. As Fitzwilliams pointed out, even their charitable foundation Archewell has been met with tepid responses. All of her ideas are total crap, Fitzwilliams echoed, reinforcing Brown's stance. Meghan's missteps, from Megxit to Sp. The tumultuous exit of Prince Harry and Meghan from the royal family, dubbed Megxit, was perhaps the most pivotal moment that solidified Meghan's reputation as a polarizing figure. Brown and Fitzwilliams both point to this decision as one of the most glaring examples of poor judgment. In what was supposed to be a strategic move to gain independence from the restrictive royal institution, the couple's departure instead unleashed a storm of negative press and fractured relationships within the family. Brown and Fitzwilliams argue that if handled with more finesse, the Sussexes could have left the royal family with dignity intact and maintained positive relationships. Brown writes in the Palace Papers that the couple's exit was hot-headed and lacking in strategic foresight, a sentiment shared by many who observed how quickly tensions escalated between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. The decision to leave not only blindsided Queen Elizabeth, but it also left the monarchy scrambling to contain the fallout. Meghan's subsequent moves in the media spotlight, from the Oprah interview to the release of Prince Harry's memoir Spare, further damaged their public image. In Spare, Harry paints a vivid and often unflattering picture of royal life, accusing his family members of various wrongdoings, including a physical altercation with his brother, Prince William. While the memoir was meant to offer Harry's side of the story, many commentators felt it crossed a line, turning personal grievances into public spectacle. Brown's characterization of Harry as a lamb to the slaughter captures the vulnerability many perceive in him, particularly in his relationship with Meghan. Brown suggests that Harry has blindly followed Meghan, even when it has led to negative consequences. Her assertion that Harry is fragile and combustible speaks to the complex emotional dynamics at play, with Meghan often perceived as the driving force behind their most controversial decisions. Meghan's Mandela moment and ego criticism. One of the most bizarre moments in Meghan's public narrative, as highlighted by both Brown and Fitzwilliams, was her recounting of a story from the Lion King premiere in 2019. Meghan claimed that a South African cast member compared the public's joy at her wedding to the celebration following Nelson Mandela's release from prison. The anecdote was widely ridiculed, with many questioning the validity of the comparison and viewing it as an indication of Meghan's inflated sense of self-importance. Fitzwilliams described this as a prime example of Meghan's poor judgment, arguing that her decision to share the story showcased a lack of awareness. Comparing her wedding to a historic moment like Mandela's release was seen as not only tone-deaf but also indicative of her increasingly out-of-touch public persona. Brown's comment that Meghan has the worst judgment in the world seems particularly apt in this context, as this story has continued to haunt her public image. The fallout, Archewell, Spotify, and public perception. As Meghan and Harry's public ventures continue to falter, many experts are pointing to their missteps as proof of their lack of strategic direction. The couple's highly anticipated Spotify deal ended prematurely, with Meghan's podcast archetypes failing to capture the kind of attention and critical acclaim that was initially expected. Their other major project, the Netflix deal, while more successful, has not been without controversy. Fitzwilliams pointed out that despite signing with the prestigious William Morris Endeavour (WME) agency in 2022, Meghan has not capitalized on the opportunities that such a partnership would typically afford. Her lack of high-profile projects has raised questions about her ability to navigate the competitive world of media and entertainment. The couple's foundation, Archewell, has similarly struggled to make a significant impact, further fueling the perception that their post-royal ventures have been underwhelming at best. The Prince in Exile, Harry's Fragility and the Future of Sussex Royal. Harry's fragility has been a recurring theme in Brown's commentary. In the Palace Papers, she describes him as a man who was always likely to leave the royal family due to his deep-seated unhappiness within its confines. However, his decision to step back from royal duties has left him in a precarious position. As Brown notes, Harry's identity as a prince is all he truly understands, and now, in exile, he is struggling to find his footing. With the paperback release of Spare and the upcoming release of Mike Tyndall's book The Good, the Bad and the Rugby, Unleashed, Harry's place in the royal narrative continues to evolve. Fitzwilliams predicts that Harry's fragile emotional state, coupled with the continuing public fallout from Spare, may limit his ability to successfully reinvent himself outside the royal fold. As Tina Brown and Richard Fitzwilliams assert, Meghan Markle's judgment has been called into question time and time again, with each misstep further solidifying her controversial reputation. From their dramatic exit from royal duties to the ill-fated media ventures that followed, Meghan's decisions appear to have consistently backfired, leading to more criticism than praise.